This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and the Becker Business Podcast. We're thrilled today to be joined by a brilliant founder and CEO. We're joined today by Guy Weiss. Guy is the founder, the CEO of Zenzap. He's going to talk to us about their platform and what they do and why they've been so successful and why customers are loving what they do. Guy, can you take a moment and introduce yourself? Tell us about Zenzap and also a little bit about your background.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for having me. So nice to meet you all. My name is Guy. I'm 37 years old, two kids, running businesses for nearly 20 years now. Quickly about my background, I started in cybersecurity for a few years, then started a bootstrap company called Stocko Media with a partner. We served large companies like Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Target, some of the known brands in the e-com businesses back in 2012. 2015, we sold the business for tens of millions of dollars. We had this software to help those companies run their digital marketing in huge scales. So that was fantastic. That was my first company. I founded, then later on moved to live in London to run a media company that grew up through M&A. That's how we got acquired. And I kind of like continue this path, buying around 20 businesses, growing the company to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue and also hundreds of employees. Stopped doing that in 2018. Took some years off, did some investments, seed investments in some startups, public markets. And then I met an amazing investor, Adam Fisher from Bessemer Virtual Partners, and my two founders, and we started Zenzap. So that's my background. That's
Amazing.
How I got to. Yeah.
Amazing. And tell us a little bit, Guy, tell us about Zenzap and what problem Zenzap is solving, and tell us about what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. So that's super, super, super easy. So most of businesses today, and we're talking about real businesses, real operations, non-tech businesses, they run and they operate with personal messaging apps on personal devices, chat apps like WhatsApp, text messages, Telegram, anything that's private. That's basically what huge companies are relying on a daily basis to run their business operations. And that's odd. You know, when you look at the tech scene, you have kind of like an old tool, Slack, which everyone uses for team communication, to separate work and private communication, to get control, to get connectivity, to get compliance and security. And for the other rest of the world, you know, Slack is around 50 million users. But when you think about hotels, restaurants, hospitals, like any type of business, when you look outside of the tech scene, they really lack a professional tool that anyone can use and is easy to use. So this blend of bringing, on one hand, a tool that is easy to use and is fun to use, as you would expect to have something like WhatsApp or iMessage, you know, text messages, but on the other hand, fit all the business needs, compliance, security, productivity, AI, help you separate work and private communication, control, governance. That's something that we felt like is missing in today's world. And that's the gap we're aiming for. And that's what we do from day and night for the last 3 years. We've just launched a few months ago, and it's growing pretty nicely. So that's Zenzap.
Congratulations. And how did you get this started? How did you exactly start? And how are customers started to use Zenzap today?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So in order to build and introduce a communication tool, communications means reliability. Nobody wants to have a communication tool, and when he needs to send up a message for 200 people for an update for, I don't know, a shift, or a patient is sick and needs a medicine or whatever, nobody wants the message to not go through. Nobody wants things that never, you know, that it will never work when you need it. So building a reliable tool took us a long time. And I'm talking about long time. Because when you have it, you want to have this amazing experience for users, and mobile first, deskless employees would love to use it. But on the other hand, make sure it's compliant, secure. You need to invest a lot in the technology. So it took us a lot of time to bring out the first customers and iterate with those initial customers to get to a point where they say, wow, we love it. It's good as the tool we use, but it's better because we have those features now for work. So it started with a very small amount of companies using the tool, and then it started to grow. We started to advertise and to go out to the market. Now we have thousands of businesses from all categories. Like, I mean, any category you would think of are using our communication tool. And it's basically that's the how they operate and where they operate as a company. That's how they feel connected. So it started really slowly, and then compounds with more and more users sharing stories about how they use Zenzap. You can check it online, YouTube and stuff, how people share their experience of switching off from personal messaging apps into a professional place where, they can have a dinner without their phone ringing all day long, or when they're on shift or at work or off work, life just got back being normal. So it just grew and it compounds. Every month you see more and more users join, but it couldn't happen without this long, long, long journey of building a proper tool.
Thank you. And take a second on sort of you mentioned a little bit of this, but what are the most impactful results that you're seeing and that your customers are seeing so far?
Well, it goes industry by industry. I'll take some, because I know you have broad audience. I'll take some broader measurements to share. So we see burnout of employees, especially in hospitality and the medical space, hospitality, restaurants and hotels. Churn rate of employees is huge. We see their decrease of customers report us between 20 to 35 reduction of employees leaving the workplace for being burned out from this never-ending messages going through their personal chat apps when they work twice or three times a week, and they get annoyed all day a week. So that's one number that is really strong. So think about when you run 1,000 people operation, I don't know, a hotel, you need to recruit 250 new employees every year. It's 25 a day, a month. It's 1 to 2 new employees per day that are leaving and joining, just to keep your operation run smoothly. If you decrease that by 30, 40%, that's an achievement. So this is something that we see very strongly. Keeping culture in place, bringing breath back to those employees, that's one hand. The other one is saving operational mistakes. So think about, I don't know, I'll give you an example. Zenzap connects to medical record systems. You have a patient going through this surgery, released back home. After the shift, the surgeon goes home and then gets a notifications on Zenzap from the EMR, the medical record system, that the antibiotic was changed. And that couldn't be done because he's at home now. But he calls the hospital to make sure something is off, because he knows the patient's already at home. So he calls the hospital and say, hey, I see that they said that the antibiotic got changed. What do you mean? So the intern says, yeah, he got back because he had something not going well. So he came back to the hospital and I gave him this antibiotic. And the doctor says, well, this antibiotic you gave him can cause him serious reaction. It's really dangerous. You need to change it immediately. So within 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, without the patient even knowing, they change the antibiotics and they save his life. So small details that runs through the operations to the right people in the right context can change people's life. Another story about photos and updates and personal details going through messages, through SMS, ended up an investigation and fines for $1.3 million. That's the largest amount we got from customers for fines for personal information of clients going through employees' private messaging apps. So a bunch of cases where they all could be, very dramatic, but could be solved with just, a simple work chat for the team that anyone would use.
Just a more secure work chat. That's fantastic. And take a second, Guy. Trends that you're watching in AI, automation, business productivity. What trends are you watching closely currently?
Oh, so I'm sure everyone is well known with the agents taking over our lives. And actually, when you think about AI, everyone thinks about ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. But the real truth behind AI is that the chosen interface for the next 20 years is chat. That's a decision being made by those big guys. So now the question is, if I run a hotel or a restaurant or a construction company or a hospital, how can I integrate AI into the day-to-day of my employees? I have 1,000 employees. How can I do that? So when introducing a native AI native work chat app that includes smart search, includes the ability to connect agents and introduce them as human beings. So think about us in a group chat with another agent who in the chat looks like another contact on the group chat, but we can speak freely with him, but he's connected to, I don't know, the shift management software and can help us change shift very quickly. Or it's an AI agent of the HR who I can speak with him about my vacations or my pension or whatever it is. So integrating AI and enabling AI into the day-to-day of the team communication and the team and how the team operates, that's the next big unleash that we see as the trend. This is the golden hour for how to unleash that thing. It's not just a single player, me speaking to AI, let's call it ChatGPT, to reconstruct my email, but it's now an agent works with me and with my colleague about my marketing thesis for the next quarter. So that's where we see the biggest impact for the next 24, 36 months.
And take a second, Guy. Fantastic what you're doing. Take a moment on what you're most focused on and excited about these next 6 months.
Next 6 months. I think that from a business perspective, building a world where any type of business can really afford, from affordability, money wise and accessibility wise, to have a proper tool to run their business on. I think that's what we set up as a goal, not just for the next 6 months, but for the next 10 years. So seeing this going into life and turning Zenzap to, instead of thousands of customers, thousands of companies, to tens of thousands of companies from various industries, that's what we see now as our major goal. And the next second goal is, I would call the secondary goal, is to see those employees which are super, super, super happy with using those purposely built tools for work, Zenzap in this case, how we can help them integrate and how we facilitate AI into their day-to-day so they can become a better version of themselves. So if each employee in a construction company would use an AI because he has now access to AI through Zenzap with his team, that's going to be a win for us. That's going to be the biggest win. How can we create an impact and make those employees far more efficient, far more happy, far more productive, with allowing them using AI in the right context, in a secure environment?
Fantastic. Again, Guy, what a pleasure to visit with you. Guy Weiss, co-founder, CEO of Zenzap, brilliant entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Becker Business and the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Truly magnificent. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.